Hi everyone and welcome to a new video. Now I set up a bit more of a casual setting. It's currently raining outside here, and I think it will be raining for a little bit more now. And I set up and sat down to quickly review this book right here, and that's Sea Monster by Chloe Aridjis, I think. Now this book has been a buddy read with my friend Matthew over at MCS Books. He was super kind and sent me an arc. Actually, this is an arc of this book. He had a spare arc, one copy for himself, and he decided to send me his second copy he had, so we could buddy read this book, as we planned a buddy read for quite a while now. This book comes out in February of 2018, and I really loved being able to actually read a book earlier thanks to this buddy read. Now I would like to add a new little format for my reviews onto the channel, because I really miss doing reviews of separate books. And when you follow me for a while now, you know right at the start of my channel I did a lot of reviews, and then I sort of started doing more like discussion videos based on different themes discussed in a book. I will be definitely doing those in the future as well, but I would also like to add this format where I sort of give you a synopsis about the book and give you things I liked, things I didn't really like that much, and therefore let you know if I think I would recommend this book to you as a reader. So these videos will be spoiler free, and sort of letting you know if you should consider picking up this book based on your own personal style. Now in this book there's the story of 17-year-old Louisa, which is funny because my mother is called Louisa, so that's always a funny thing to come across in a book when you have a name you're familiar with. And she is living in Mexico City, going to school there, living her teenage life. And one day she comes across Duma, and they sort of start bonding. And one day she decides, instead of going home after school, they are going to set off on an adventure on a beach in the Pacific coast. And adventures and experiences start from there. Now, what I really liked about this book, besides of course the experience of actually buddy reading it with someone, because I think a buddy read really can add something to the experience of reading a book, and it's something I should do more, but I feel like I would love to have it as I had it with Matthew, like not really having to worry about certain deadlines and reading this many chapters or this many pages a day and then be able to discuss it, but sort of casually reading it together, because I think that really adds up to the experience. Now, the thing I love most about this book is, first of all, the concept of going to an island that is filled with mysteries and discovering yourself and having this really almost mystical setting. I really appreciated that a lot about the book, and that was the thing that was really the main aspect that kept me going within the story, and that really hooked me and sort of gave me that warm feeling you get from books where there's a different setting than just like normal life in a town or in a city. It was really well made in that regard. I enjoyed reading the book for its setting, and I was also a very big fan of the concept, although we will get into the actual how the author went from there later on. So alongside that, alongside the setting and the concept and stuff like that, it was also very clear that the atmosphere played an important role, and I think it was very successfully done in this book, that there was an atmosphere and of course, as I said, a setting that I personally found very unique, and I have not yet come across a book that did similar things with the way it set the atmosphere and the way it felt reading it. So that was definitely a big part of my enjoyment. Alongside that, the book really had some amazing moments of beautiful and impactful writing, where it was very strong in how well the language in its style captured the atmosphere. Like, the style of the writing really worked super well with the atmosphere it was going for, and that's something I always really enjoy, and what really sort of makes me in getting into a book. Like, if the writing seems off for me, that's a huge like letdown and huge turn off for me. If I don't feel like the writing adds up to the way it was supposed to be not written, but like the way you feel like you can connect to the story as well and to the aimed atmosphere or point of the book. And I thought that definitely worked here perfectly. Like, those aspects of the concept, the writing and the setting and the atmosphere really worked well together. Now, unfortunately, there were certain aspects that felt like it aimed for something it was not able to reach. I, throughout the whole book, never connected to any character, but mainly I could not, for the life of me, connect to the main character. She annoyed me more than anything. I hoped actually that the perspective would switch and we would get another perspective other than her, because I was so annoyed by her. And maybe that has to do with an addition of different aspects of the book that I did not enjoy. But I don't have a problem reading about an unlikable character. But here I felt like she was not supposed to be unlikable. I just didn't like her the way she was written. There was also this aspect that, especially in the first half of this book, really put me off, and that is very unnecessary explanations of extremely unimportant things in the book. Like, she could go on tangents about things that had no significance for the plot, like zero significance for the plot, and she could go on and on explaining things that did not matter at all to the plot. And then on the other side, there was such a lack of real substance and reasons behind the actions of the main character, or like important plot points being there and just being there and not really explored. Like, there were at least 2 plot points that were highly important, and they were briefly mentioned, or like set up to be highly important. They were briefly mentioned and then it just like ended. You know what I mean? It was not explored the way I was expecting it to be explored, which was really weird, and I found that was kind of strange in regards to how much it could have been explored if those unnecessary explanations of unimportant things would have been cut out in some way. And I don't know, I'm guessing that the author trying to go somewhere with that, but I just couldn't figure out what it was. And there were things and actions the character as a 17-year-old teenager took, and we got no real explanation, and it sort of felt like, well, she did it because that's how teenagers act. But that isn't the case. Like, that's just a weak explanation. So that was sort of weird. Like that, having unnecessary explanations of super unimportant things, and on the other hand, never getting a real reason for certain actions and just let it be in the air. Alongside the same like sort of line is that I found the timing of the ending, I will not spoil the ending of course, really arbitrary, in a fact that it almost felt like to me that the author felt like, well, now it's time for me to end the story, and so I'm ending it here, and I bring forth this aspect of the story that will ultimately end the story. But there was no real, like, if you have a story, you sort of start with the explanations, and then you get a little bit more higher because it gets more exciting, then you are on there and you explore a little bit more, and then you reach the peak and the climax of the story, and usually then it goes down. But here it was like, it felt like the climax was never reached and it sort of just ended. Like, there was nothing, it was just, there were several moments throughout the story where I thought it would be more powerful to end it here, and here it's just like, oh, the story is now watering a bit out and it gets boring. And I was getting bored, and I felt like the author was getting bored, and therefore she ended it. That's how I felt. And then the ending was just rushed. And there were aspects with that would have been so interesting to explore. But it watered out, then it ended. And even the ending was like, it could have been fleshed out more. But overall, like, for the setting and the atmosphere alone, I would definitely recommend picking this up. I think it is not your typical story in the fact that I feel like it concentrates way more on the atmospheric aspects and has its strength there, not so much on the characters. So if you don't mind that, I would definitely recommend picking this up. And if you do, let me know at one point, or like let me know if you decide to pick it up once it comes out. And it was just a very lovely experience to be able to read a book with a friend and having something to discuss at the same time. So it was a great experience overall, and I'm super grateful I had that experience and also that I was able to read this book. So yeah, definitely let me know if you like the format. I plan to doing many more of those type of reviews, alongside of course my discussions on the different themes of a book. But I think that might interest a broader audience. Let me know that in the comments, and I hope you have a more bright autumn day, or at least you could snuggle up and read a good book. And yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks again to Matthew, I'm sure he's going to watch this, for letting me be part of that experience with him. I really enjoyed that, and I thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye!